At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Okay, so imagine this for a second. You're at your desk or, your kitchen table, and you're just feeling it. That sort of heaviness.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't updated your resume. You haven't even taken a call from a recruiter. You haven't whispered the word quit to anyone.
But the machine knows.
But somewhere, deep in a server, an algorithm has already flagged you. It knows you're on your way out. It saw how you paused before accepting that last meeting invite.
It's the digital poker tell. You think your face is completely straight, but the machine sees the twitch.
Exactly. And that is the slightly terrifying but also fascinating hook for today's deep dive. We're looking at this research called AI-enabled people analytics and the emerging crisis of managerial accountability.
It sounds a bit academic, but it's really not.
No, it's basically Minority Report for HR.
It really is. And, as an organizational psychologist, what gets me isn't just the predictive tech, which is, it's impressive.
Right.
It's what this tech is forcing companies to finally admit about why people actually leave their jobs.
That's the real core of it. We've all heard that cliche, right? People don't leave companies, they leave managers.
Oh, for decades. It's one of those things everyone just nods along to, but nobody really acts on it. It's been treated like, corporate folklore.
But this research is saying that AI is taking that cliche
and turning it into a hard, cold, undeniable data point. We're seeing this huge shift from retention being a vague systemic HR problem.
Like, the market's just really hot right now.
Exactly. To seeing it for what it is, a localized, specific managerial performance indicator.
So our mission today is to really unpack that. I want to get into the tech, what are these micro signals the machine is even looking for? And then the stakes, the money, the psychology. And I really want to wrestle with the ethics of it.
Yeah.
Because if you know exactly which manager is burning out their team, what do you do?
That's the crossroads. Is it surveillance or is it support? And the answer to that question is, well, it's going to define the next decade of work.
Let's start with the before picture. Companies have been trying to figure out why people quit since forever. How do they track this before the algorithms?
Badly. To put it bluntly, for the last, 40 or 50 years, we've pretty much only relied on lagging indicators. The most famous one is, of course, the exit interview.
The exit interview. That final awkward Zoom call where you just pretend everything was great so you don't burn a bridge.
Precisely. From a data perspective, they're autopsies. The employee is already gone. It's way too late to fix the problem. And the data you get is, it's notoriously poor.
Because people lie.
Or they're just polite. Rational people don't set fires on their way out the door. You say, I found a great new opportunity for growth.
Right. You don't say, my manager, Steve, reads all my emails and hasn't said a positive thing to me in 6 months.
Exactly. So HR gets this clean, sanitized report, and Steve gets to stay in his role totally unchecked.
And then there's the annual survey, right? The whole strongly agree, strongly disagree thing.
Right. And the big problem there is aggregation. A report says the engineering department is 75% engaged. Well, okay, that sounds fine. But averages hide the extremes.
It smooths everything over.
It smooths over the localized nature of the problem. That 75% can mean half the team is thrilled and the other half is absolutely miserable.
It hides the tumor.
It hides the tumor. Retention problems, they almost always cluster. They're not spread evenly like peanut butter. They're like clumps. And the old tools just weren't sharp enough to see the clumps.
So what changed? The research really points to the pandemic as a huge accelerant.
It was the tipping point. Think about the pre-COVID office. If you were a manager, you had all these informal observational cues.
You had eyes.
You had eyes. You could walk the floor, see someone slumped at their desk. You could see the eye rolling in a meeting. You could feel the tension. That's behavioral visibility.
And then we all went home.
We all went home. And all those screens went dark. Suddenly, organizations were flying blind. They lost that whole intuitive channel. So they needed a digital proxy. They had to find a way to see behavior through the data.
And that's where this AI analytics market just exploded.
It just exploded.
Okay, so this brings us to the how. And this is where, my skeptical tech journalist hat comes on, because AI is watching for signals. Sounds creepy.
It's a valid fear, but we have to be really clear about what the tech is actually doing. In most of these systems, it's not reading the content of your emails like a spy.
Oh.
It's analyzing patterns and metadata. It's looking at the digital exhaust from your workday.
Digital exhaust. Let's drill down on that.
Yeah.
What fumes is it actually sniffing out?
So the first one, and it's probably the most powerful, is communication sentiment. It uses natural language processing, or NLP.
So it is reading my emails.
It's scanning the tone, not your secrets. I mean, think about it. When you're excited about a project, how do you write? You use exclamation points, you use words like, great, happy to, let's solve this.
Your whole syntax is more active.
It's active, it's positive, and when you're checking out,
It gets flat. Transaction
received.
will do.
Okay.
The emotional investment is just gone. The AI can detect that cooling off period weeks before you consciously realize you're done.
That is incredibly subtle.
It is. Another huge one is network isolation.
So, like, who you're sitting with at the lunch table in high school.
It's basically that, yes. The algorithm looks at your collaboration graph. Engaged employees are usually these active nodes in a network. They talk to their team, they talk to other departments.
You're clubbed in.
Right. When someone starts to disengage, they prune that network.
Yeah.
They start responding to the marketing team. They retreat into a silo. The system sees the number of your unique connections just start to drop.
The research also mentioned calendar patterns.
Oh, this one's fascinating. It looks for changes. Are you suddenly declining meetings you always used to go to? Is your response time slowing down? Or, and this is a classic signal, are you suddenly having a lot of private blocks in the middle of the day? Yes. Taking calls from recruiters.
Exactly. And the last one is the learning management system, the LMS.
The internal training videos.
Yeah. If you look at the data, one of the biggest predictors of retention is just curiosity. If an employee is taking optional courses, they're betting on their future at that company.
And if they stop,
That's learning disengagement. If you stop upskilling, it usually means you don't see a reason to invest in your future there anymore.
so the AI takes all these tiny little crumbs, a flat email, a declined meeting, and aggregates them into a flight risk score.
And crucially, it does this predictively. It sees the risk 6 to 9 months out. It gives the organization this huge window to actually intervene before the resignation letter ever lands.
Okay, but why does the company care this much? I mean, turnover is annoying, sure, but is it worth all this digital surveillance? Is the cost really that high?
The cost is staggering. The research we're looking at cites data that replacing a knowledge worker costs anywhere from 1/2 to 2 times their annual salary.
2 times. So if I make $100,000, it costs the company $200,000 to replace me.
Yeah.
That seems high.
It sounds high, but then you break it down. There's the recruiter fees, the signing bonus, but the real killer is the vacancy time.
The empty seat.
The empty seat. If it's empty for 3 months, that's lost productivity. Then the new person starts and it takes them 6 months to really get up to speed. That's ramp time.
So you're losing almost a year of full productivity.
Easily. Now, imagine you have a manager, let's call him Bob, who churns through 4 people a year. Manager Bob isn't just hard to work for.
He's $1 million liability.
He's $1 million liability. He is actively burning cash.
That's the financial part. But there was another concept in here that I found even more disturbing.
Yeah.
The selection effect.
This is what keeps people like me up at night. It's the idea that not all turnover is created equal. On a team with a bad manager, who leaves first?
The people who can. The best people.
Your high performers. They have the best resumes, the most options. They see the dysfunction and they think, I don't need to put up with this. And they're gone.
And the low performers.
They stay. Maybe they don't have other options. Or maybe they actually like having a disengaged manager because nobody's holding them accountable. So, over time, a bad manager acts like a filter. They filter out excellence and concentrate mediocrity.
It's the Dead Sea effect.
Yeah.
The good water evaporates, the talent leaves, and you're just left with the salt.
It's a death spiral for team quality, and it absolutely destroys what we call psychological safety.
That's the Amy Edmondson idea, right?
Yes. If you're on a team where all the smart people are leaving, you go into survival mode. You don't take risks. You don't offer up a crazy idea. You keep your head down. Innovation dies.
And it's just so unfair. I've always called it the manager lottery. You join a great company, but you get assigned to the wrong person, and your career just stalls.
It is a lottery. And for decades, we've just accepted that randomness. But what this research argues is that AI removes the excuse of ignorance. We can now see the problem is the manager. And once you see it, you have a moral obligation to fix it.
Okay, so the veil is lifted. The company knows Manager Bob is a problem. Now we're at that crossroads you mentioned. What do you do?
You have two paths: surveillance or support. Or, as I think of it, the gavel or the mirror.
Let's talk about the gavel first, the failure mode.
This is the easy path, and sadly, it's the one a lot of companies take at first. You use the data as a weapon. Bob's boss gets a dashboard, sees a high attrition risk score, and calls Bob in.
Fix this number, you're fired.
Exactly. Optimize for retention. And what happens when you threaten people with a metric?
They game the metrics.
Bam the metric.
Yeah.
Bob knows one person quitting will kill his bonus, so he stops giving tough feedback. He starts pushing his team. He might even pressure unhappy people to stay just long enough to make his numbers look good.
So you get these teams of prisoners.
Prisoners. The dysfunction goes underground. The number on the dashboard looks good, but the culture is absolutely rotting from the inside out.
So what's path B? The mirror.
Path B is diagnostic coaching. This is the successful path. You treat the data as confidential feedback for the manager himself, not as evidence for the prosecution.
So Bob sees the data, but his boss doesn't.
In the best systems, yes. Or at least not right away. Bob logs into a private dashboard. It says, "Hey Bob, your team's sentiment has dropped 15% this month. Here are 3 things that might be causing that."
That changes everything. It goes from I'm in trouble to I have a blind spot.
Exactly. Most bad managers aren't evil. They're just overwhelmed. They were promoted because they were a great engineer, not because they were a great leader. They just don't have the tools.
So the AI gives them the tools.
It enables just-in-time coaching. You know, we usually train leaders by sending them to a workshop once a year. It's like a ship dip. It's generic.
And you forget it all by Monday morning.
Right. But AI allows for targeted capability building. If the system notices Bob interrupts people in meetings, it sends him a 5-minute video on active listening.
The medicine for the specific symptom.
Exactly. If his team is working late every night, it nudges him to take a course on delegation. It's personalized, private, and it's actionable.
Okay, but I want to push back a bit. Sometimes it really isn't the manager's fault, right? The team is underpaid. Or the workload is just impossible.
You're absolutely right. And that brings up this really critical idea from the research called structural alibis.
Structural alibis. I like that.
A smart system doesn't just look at the manager in a vacuum. It looks at the context. It does a span of control analysis.
How many people they're managing.
Right. The data might show that, hey, across the whole company, any manager with more than 12 direct reports has high turnover. Well, that's not a bad manager. That's a bad structure.
So the system should flag the structure as broken, not the person.
Exactly. The solution isn't to coach Bob. It's to hire another manager and split the team. Or maybe his team is paid 20% below the market rate. The system should adjust his score for that context.
It links to this idea of procedural justice. You have to give people a voice.
Absolutely. The manager needs a chance to explain the context the algorithm missed. Yes, 3 people left, but that's because our entire product strategy pivoted.
The algorithm is a tool, not the judge and jury.
Never. It points to the smoke, but a human still has to go find the fire.
It feels like this whole thing requires a huge shift in how we think about developing people, moving away from just focusing on the high potentials.
This is the most hopeful part. For me, for decades, companies spent 80% of their training budget on the top 2% of employees, the future C-suite.
And the middle managers, the people actually running the place, they get ignored.
They get the scraps. But AI makes coaching cheap and scalable. You can finally afford to invest in the median manager.
You lift the middle.
Think about it. If you can make your 500 average managers just 10% better, the total impact on the company is just astronomical. It democratizes leadership development.
But to do that, you need a culture that's okay with failure. The research brings up Carol Dweck's growth mindset.
It's foundational. If your company has a fixed mindset, the idea that leaders are born, not made, then this data is terrifying. It says, I'm broken.
So you hide the data.
But in a growth mindset culture, the data is just feedback. It's like a tennis coach saying your backhand is weak. It's not an insult, it's an instruction. Okay, let's go drill backhands.
It also just changes the rhythm of management. The whole annual review seems prehistoric now.
Oh, it's a dinosaur. We're moving to continuous measurement. If something goes wrong in October, you fix it in October. You don't wait until January for some awkward scripted conversation about it.
It's real-time course correction.
Which is better for everyone. No one gets blindsided.
So, to wrap this all up, we're moving into a world where bad management is no longer a secret. It's not a whisper in the break room anymore. It is visible, quantifiable data.
That's the new reality. The veil is lifted.
And that brings us to the final thought, doesn't it?
It does. The source leaves us with this really powerful provocation. This technology isn't coming. It's here. You can't opt out of the visibility. The only choice you have is what to do with it.
Do you use it to judge your people or to develop them?
Precisely. One path builds resilience and trust. The other path builds fear and secrecy. The algorithm will give you the data, but your culture has to provide the wisdom. So which one will your company choose?
A heavy question, but definitely the right one to be asking. We'll be thinking on that one. Thanks for diving in today.
Always a pleasure.